Right, it says we're live now, so I'm just going to check YouTube because sometimes there is a few second delay. Says we're live now, so I'm just going to check YouTube because sometimes there is a few second delay. All right, we are live. Right, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us. Me and Dave did attempt to do this live the other day on Facebook. It didn't go to plan, of course, because Facebook are censoring us. So we've decided tonight to do it onto YouTube, and I'm just going to share the video onto Facebook and hope it works that way, because Facebook would not allow me to share our video onto my other pages, and I've been trying since we did the video. So Dave, over to you. Hi everyone, Steve, Sally, Ollie, Shirley, Spacey, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Dave, if I just leave it with you for a minute while I go and share this.
Lovely
Can you hear
job.
me?
Good evening, guys. Hello to everybody. For anybody who doesn't know who I am, I'm Dave Simpson, friend of Tracy's. We speak every few months just to catch up on what's going on. We thought we'd do a little bit of questions and answers because what's happened of recent is Tracy's getting a lot of messages, and myself, about people who are very concerned about what's going on, the fear mongering. I'm not sure whether I should use that word. The general fear that's in the mindset of particularly the older generation is causing me concern, and people's well-being, mental health well-being. I'm not, I'm an ordinary working man. Hammer and nails and nuts and bolts. I'm not a psychologist, but what I have noticed is the deterioration in mental health of the general public at large. Only today emphasised by their got COVID marshals on the local boating lake where people drive to, park in the purpose-built car park, pay your put money, walk around the boating lake, social distancing and what have you. But the council power tripping have decided to shut the car park because they don't want too many people down there. You must exercise, and the rules are you walk from your house, have your exercise and walk back to your house, because they don't want the cars on the road because that gives a bad impression, you see. So that's what they've done, basically. Well, what that causes is a lot of people are staying, not as it's exactly the weather, but the option would be nice, particularly in the winter, to walk, to drive down to your local boat or your park walks or your forestry walks. Don't forget that the forestries have actually implemented car parks in the past, so people can go there to exercise their dogs, to take their bikes. That's why they have roof racks with bike things on, so that they drive to the forestry and walk around these forestry walks and reservoirs, etc., etc. So, the council now are power tripping on it, which is quite sad. Of recent weeks and days,
Dave, sorry, can I
come
stop
across
you?
people.
Dave,
I haven't had a word with a lady, so I'm not going to make any names.
sorry, Dave, can I stop you 1 minute because
Yeah,
we've got a bad lag, and on YouTube, I don't know if your volume or whatever is being interfered with, but it's very difficult to understand what you're saying. So I don't know again if we're being interfered with that night. If you took your headphone out, what would happen? Speak on loudspeaker. Try that. Yes, and Shirley,
Is that any better?
brilliant. That's better. That's better. Go on, carry on. It was very difficult to hear you.
Okay, is that better on the? Have we got a lag then? Have we?
No, that's better
Okay.
now, Dave. We couldn't understand you.
Oh, sorry. Should have shut me down when I just waffle on. As I was saying, anyway, guys, big detrimental effect to health and well-being, and particularly mental health, where I've had to deal with several issues. There's also other problems that I'm sure Tracy wants to highlight, but that's just an overview of what we want to talk about tonight. But particular, Tracy has suggested that we could answer some questions to the general public, and to the best of our knowledge, we will try and, the whole point of this is let's keep our feet on the ground, stay calm, and look, question, and ask questions and see if you can find the truthful answers to them, like the validity in closing a car park when the validity to close that car park when people drive there to do their exercise and for their social well-being. And I'm sure you can agree it's much nicer to walk around a boating lake full of trees than it is to walk around a concrete jungle. The oxygen that the trees give off and just the general atmosphere is a lot more mentally stimulating than walking around a concrete jungle.
We've got a question here from Shirley asking me, is it real or is it a hoax? Based on everything I have learned over the last 3 years, based on what I've seen, based on the fact that I've been into a hospital myself intentionally, and based on everything I know, I personally believe it's just rebranding of the flu, and nothing more than that. What we have going on is a mass manipulation of the masses. We have psychosomatic going on, for obvious reasons. I know someone who worked in the hospital, and everyone who was being brought in, actually, in the end, were just suffering from anxiety. And going on the mental health situation, yes, they do. They want everyone in the negative, Shirley. In the negative, yeah. We've got to remember that if you want to use physics, you've got negative and you've got positive and you've got synchronicity. And other people, if every 250 years we have a new age. So we've just come out of Aries and we've gone into Aquarius, and that's on the 21st of December. Yeah, and you've got to remember positive and negativity, and they want us in the negativity because that's where they live in their world, isn't it? In their evil, twisted world. Because no matter how you look at this is what it is. It's evil. In fact, it's beyond evil. But just quickly to mention the mental health situation with what Dave is saying, because there's been a lot of suicides during this. One of my friends knows someone down one road where two have committed suicide. So I do know that is a fact with those two, and so on and so on. As I've said, with regards to the mainstream media, 99.9% that they put and print is fake. But going back to the mental health, it's not just the mental health of the adults as well, isn't it? It's the mental health of the children and how this is affecting them, going to affect them, and will continue, and that's another thing that everyone needs to look at. Go on, Dave.
The mental health of the children is paramount in this, because you've got to remember they're the future. Realistically, we're just coming to the end of our lives. Our lives still matter. But you know, I would say that the children's well-being is paramount in this, and using them as political footballs with the schools. I mean, you've seen it for yourself where they've closed gyms, they've closed hospitality, pubs, and everything, but kept the schools open. You know, there has got to be some sort of questions answered why the validity of certain sections of society have been shut down. I mean, you're quite conversed with it, but I'm sure that the general public at large is still pondering on that, and that's what hopefully we can get out in this video and get some clear facts. You know, just to put you in the picture, Tracy, Wales is so far behind the rest of the country. It's just saddening. You know, when I go into a supermarket and I'm the only person not wearing a mask, it makes me feel intimidated. It makes me feel like the odd one out. You know, and there it is in big letters, as you'll famously say, in plain sight. You know, it's just been announced that the relief road for the M4 cost £114 million before it was scrapped. That's just on the chums from Welsh Assembly doing assessments. 114 million. And the public are like, oh, well, they've scrapped it now. Don't worry about it. It's only 114 mil. That's how asleep Wales is. So there's a big difference between your area and mine. At least you've got some people that are awake, and you've got some people that actually will take the time to look at and ask some questions. That's why I'm hoping that some more Welsh people are going to come on here and say, hey, Dave, what do you think about such and such? And I'll give my answer according to my knowledge. And hopefully we can get there.
No, brilliant. Thank you, Dave. We've got some questions coming up. I just want to answer Shirley's, then I'll give you one, because I don't think you can see the questions, can you?
No.
So I'll answer Shirley here. Just before I do that, I apologise, Shirley. I just want to say to you, Jesus Jones has put Albert Pike's World War III. Just read it, Lucifer equals corporation. Now, I have read part of that, but what I'll also say about Albert Pike, he wrote what was called the Book of Law. Now, it's not our book of law, yeah, this is a subversion book of law. And there are people in this world, a certain society, that follows that law. And in that law, the tagline is, do what thou wilt, which means and tells these people to do whatever they wish at whatever cost for them to get great things, yeah, money and power, and to do whatever it takes to get there. Yeah? And that is their book of law, which Albert Pike wrote himself. Now, just to answer Shirley's question, which was, Tracy, how do we reject the vax? It's more simple than you realise. You just know consent. I don't know what that rattling is, though. You've got to put your end. It's like someone's playing with
Not my end.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's noise in the background. So Shirley, it's easier than what it is. They deceive in many ways. Their main weapon, the government's and the media's main weapon is deception. So they will use any trick to deceive you, i.e. saying it's mandatory or you can't leave your home and so on and so on. Yeah, it's a trick. Consent is law, and if you just remember that, you will be able to say no consent. It's that simple. You know, you just don't realise until you realise all of that. Look into this legal realm and how their law works. And as sick and as twisted as they are, and they are sick and they are twisted and they are evil, they are all those things. They will not do this without you consenting, because that's your own free will. That's your want that. Just to give you a question, Dave, Sorry, Steve asked
Can I
one.
just
Let's have a look.
emphasise that everything you are questioning, guys, is only, it cannot be forced on you. It's only by your consent, and draw influence from that. That is by consent only. There is no such thing as mandatory vaccines. There is no such thing. There cannot be a mandatory vaccine because it's against what, Tracy?
Oh, you've got the Nuremberg Code, and you've got everything else will teach you. But believe me, these sick and twisted, evil people, you do it of your own free will, and they will trick you into doing that. And just remember, consent is law.
But there is
Yeah,
no such
there is
thing
a
as
sound.
mandatory vaccines. There isn't such a thing. It cannot be done without your consent.
Absolutely. Right, Dave, can I give you a question from Steve? I don't know what that noise is. I'm sorry if
It's
it's
your microphone.
interfering.
Try unplugging your microphone and plugging it back in. It's not mine because I just turned my mic off.
I don't know what it is. Don't know what it is. Something's playing with our sound. Of course it is. Right. Just to say, Steve's question is something I've been struggling with is how to get people that are demoralised, that I love, to do research. Any suggestions for people that don't wish to be awake? It's very hard, that one, actually.
Well, I would say look into the figures from an out. Try and put yourself outside the situation instead of reading the headlines. The favourite one that they're using at the moment is however many people died of COVID. Yeah, no, they've died with the a positive test. Just because somebody has died falling from because their parachute didn't open, if they had a positive test, that's a COVID death. So always look and read right the way through and find out the facts about these numbers. But have some comfort, people, in that roughly between 500,000 and 600,000 people die every year in England and Wales. The number hasn't exceeded anything extraordinary in the last 15 years. I think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, Trace, I think it's 1996 that was one of the highest figures of death. So hold some comfort in there's no more people died this year than any other year. So you know that should tell you, that should bring the fear rate down a little. But read all into the facts because it actually states, like you say, in plain sight. It's got a little print going across the screen of the television that it's died within having a test of 28 days of COVID. And what you've got to remember is, I think it's somewhere in the region of 80% of these people that die are over the age of 80. The average age for dying in this country is 82. So are we, clutching at straws and thinking that, we can get an extra few years? I don't know.
I know
What
it's
have you
very
got, Brother?
hard. Going back to Steve, even though what you're saying is correct, even if you want to look at the statistical figures, I mean, I don't trust anything they talk or anything they say, personally, but they do show you, and then they mock the people that believe. They're mocking us all, and again, they're creating a divide and conquer between mask wearers and the non-mask wearers, just like they did with Brexit and the Remainers and everything else. Tracy, just sorry to hear they're doing it again. The noise. Sorry to hear about your dad. You know, hospitals are empty. That is quite clear, and hospitals have been shown to be empty since a month, since April, a month after March, when they started to be empty. Just to say, Pat, just stand your ground.
Masks, Trace. What you can look at is the 1819 Spanish flu, which killed a lot of people. The actual debriefing on that, if you want to call it a debriefing, was that many people of that Spanish flu actually died from a bacterial infection from wearing face coverings in that pandemic in 1919. And it is, the health professionals and the World Health Organization have already said quite plainly on their website, which is still today, it is not recommended you wear a mask as protection from COVID-19 virus. It actually says that on the World Health Organization. So people, you need to do your own research. It's in plain sight. Stay calm. Look at it from reality point of view. The sun comes up in the morning and it goes down at night. That we can tell because it's a fact. Look at the other facts. People aren't dropping in the street dying. Although they'd like you to believe they are, they're not. These hospitals that were set up that were never used were done as a propaganda stunt. And I think everybody is now come to realise that the NEC in Birmingham was set up as a Nightingale at the cost of 26 million, I do believe. And the figure may be wrong, but a lot of money was never ever used. It is now an inland port for containers and lorries that have got to do their paperwork with, and a vaccination centre. So you've got to look at what's going on out there, people, and try and realise that it's not all doom and gloom if you look into it with a fresh set of eyes and a fresh set of thinking.
Yeah, and also going back to masks, it's when I speak, isn't it? That noise?
Yes, it may be.
Yeah, it's when I speak. There's nothing here. There's nothing moving. Obviously, it's my voice. They don't want people to hear. Going back to the mask, you know, if people think critically, when surgeons wear masks, they wear them for blood spatter. So when they're doing operations, blood, you know, splatter out onto them and so on and so on. You know, they're unhealthy to wear all the time. You're breathing your own spittle and everything. I've never worn a mask. I'll tell a lie. I wore a mask once. This was when I was visiting a hospital. Yeah, it is my end. It's whenever I speak. Thank you, 7th Brigade or YouTube or anything. Yeah, sick bunch of people. You know, they're not healthy at all. When I started, unplugged. Yeah, no, it's not nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with my mic or my setup or anything, Holly. This is because it's being interfered with. I use it all the time. There's nothing wrong with it at all. It's only when I try and do a live or when I'm trying to do YouTube right now.
With me.
Boris, yeah, with Dave, of course. Boris is 100% a puppet, Pat. Take aside the fact that Boris is involved in our boys' case because he is one of the boys' MPs. He knows about the evidence and he knows about the letter of attorney, the letter to the attorney general, and take that aside. Boris is a globalist puppet, 100%. And Shirley, just to say, don't believe everything you see or read, including what we say. Research what we say. Dave, you'll have to talk because they really are distorting my voice.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, Tracy. I don't get any feedback when I'm speaking. I don't know whether you're getting feedback off me. I just don't know. It's normally me, the one that's. I don't really know. But let me assure you guys, if it doesn't look right, doesn't smell right, doesn't taste right, it's normally not right. Follow your gut feeling. And I've got to be honest, my gut feeling has been turning just lately because I've been off the scene for about a year now. I don't, I'm not embarrassed to say that, and purely for the fact that I wanted to stand back and look from the outside in. I find it easier when I'm not emotionally or involved in any way, and I just let it roll. But let me tell you, there's some people that could back me up. My predictions have been eerily spot on, from the lockdowns to what's coming, the curfew, and the way things are going. And it's basically down to you, Trace, because we've had some honest and frank discussions of where we think it's going. And it is stomach churning to think that, there's people out there that have the mindset to do this to part of the public, the human race, in fact. I mean, who can substantiate teaching 6 to 9-year-olds how to masturbate? But that's in the legislation that's coming out in Welsh Assembly. It's already in England. It's rolled out in sex education for kids 6 and 9 years from 3-year-olds. Who'd have thought it? That's not our subject tonight. But it's no wonder the public of the stomach is churning. I am very concerned about the mental health of some elderly and some young. I've got I'm going to say 20-odd-year-old person that has had some heavy restrictions due to money and due to things, so they're isolated in their dwelling, and their mental health has deteriorated so much in the last few months that it's become a critical, I would say, critical situation, a matter of life and death, which is quite frightening for a 20-something-year-old person. I find it quite frightening myself. As I said, Tracy, you're aware that I've had an 87-year-old would call it in a distress.
Now you're Now you're being distorted and frozen out. Yeah. Just to say, with my system, with my webcam and things like that, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the lead. There's nothing wrong with the sound. I've moved the phone, you know, just to count that one out. But nothing.
Because of watching.
Yeah, it's cutting you out, Dave. Oh, he's gone. Here we go. He should come back in. Yeah, it did clear up for a minute, Tiggs. It did, although it wasn't really near the computer, it was on the end here. But yeah, it did clear up and it has cleared up now. Let's see what happens when Dave comes back in. Yeah, absolutely. The 77th Brigade. You're good now, Tracy. Let's see how it works. Like I said just now, to see when Dave comes back in. I'm just going to scroll up. Yeah, Eric, I've noted your comment. Yes, Ollie, just to say what Dave was just starting to discuss, and probably why he's got booted off, was about what they're passing in Wales. And he has got the facts on that. I don't know the whole facts because obviously one don't live in Wales. I've just read the documentation on it. And every parent, see, the thing is, this is how they play it. If you protest, now I've been out there many times supporting many, just like there's a lot of people in listening now that have done the same thing and out there. But this is how they cleverly play it. If you protest against something, they see that as consent because you're protesting and basically saying that what they've done, you want them to change. So they see that as consent if you protest. If you do acquiescence that is silence and you don't protest, then silence is also consent. So what you have to do is things like the opposite of what they say. So if they say stay in, you go out. If they ask you to wear a mask, you don't wear a mask. These is how you have to play in this technocratic, sick game that they are playing on us. Dave, hi, you're back in now.
Sorry, I muted my mic so just so that I, in case it was my feedback was coming back from me, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Why you got? Yeah. It's terrible. We tried this the other night on Facebook and got thrown off of there. And that didn't sort of go much to plan. And then I could share it. And now we're getting this. Technology does distort, yeah, absolutely. You talk, Dave.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys. You know, it's normally me that's causes the problems, but I think Tracy's got a bit of feedback. Anyway, guys, if anybody wants to ask any questions, I think, have we asked any, Tracy?
No, you just sounded a bit like a Dalek, Dave. Unreal, isn't it? Right, bear with me. Let me read up. Yeah, they are sickos, Jesus Jones. No, they don't care about the economy. And when we was out at Gelaves, as you know, Dave, because you also attended quite a few of them in London with us, that we were saying that communism was coming in the back door. But on more research, I totally agree with Jesus here that communism has been covertly here. Jesus says 1945. I sort of felt like it started back in 1933. But yeah, it goes a lot further back than we realise.
I didn't quite catch that then, Tracy, sorry.
He hasn't got the headphones in. You haven't got the headphones in your phone, have you?
No.
Yeah, no.
I-
It's just so annoying. It's so annoying. I don't know what it is. But what it is, you know, in the hope it's that putting us off and putting anyone listening off. And I don't blame them, because it's very annoying to be trying to listen to us with these pathetic noises going on the channel right now. Yeah.
Job to hear you myself, to be honest, Tracy. I'll tell you what. Do we want to do you want to shut it down and open up again?
Yeah, we can try doing that. Everyone, we're going to try doing it, because obviously we'll close it down and then we'll open it back up again and see if that makes a difference.